2. Okay, so again, welcome to my top tips to increase your confidence around food, your body, and yourself. This is a kind of for this training Thursday. I do this every Thursday in my Facebook group, More Than Your Weight Women's Community. If you're on Instagram, you're going to want to, or watching the replay or listening to this, because I'm also going to put this on my podcast. You are going to want to make sure that you join the Facebook group, because that's where all the magic happens. My gosh, that's where all the magic happens. So super excited to kind of get started today and talk about this conversation, because I am doing a free challenge next week, my Food Freedom Challenge, which is one of my most popular challenges, which is really looking at the mindset, the beliefs, the thoughts, the feelings, and the emotions that we have around diets, the scale, food, our body, ourselves, exercise, and our emotions, and how those beliefs, thoughts, feelings, and words really drive our actions, which is what most of us would call habits, right? So many of us know we don't have certain habits that really help us. We would maybe call those unhealthy. Maybe they're not. We all want to have more healthy habits, more habits that build up our body, build up our mind, build up our soul, and just, really care, that allow us to care about our whole self. But often we're trying to change the habit, right? But guess what? We cannot change our action without really looking at our beliefs. And really where this came into play for me, and I'll get into a little bit more about what we're going to talk about in a second, but really where this came in for me when I was really struggling with actually under eating and exercising too much. And I got really too tiny for my body structure, and I actually was not healthy, right? But luckily I had a lot of great people in my life that, were like, hey, what's going on? And so, but what really didn't change things for me was until I really decided that, okay, I need to do something different. But I think if I just gain a little bit of weight, increase my calories a bit, it'll be fine. Everyone will be fine. So I changed my actions a little bit, right? But guess what? I did not look at what was actually driving me to undereat or overexercise. Did not look at my beliefs, did not look at my thoughts, didn't look at what was going on in my life. So fast forward to a couple years later, when I was really stressed out in a season of my life, I went to food for comfort. The exact opposite, right? Of undereating. I was overeating. I was stressed or sad or all these different emotions. But because I didn't deal with what was really going on either time, I was shifting my actions or my habits, but it wasn't really doing anything for me. So that's where I went on the diets. That's where I try to get all of it out of the, just try to really find change and transformation. But I was trying to change my actions without looking at my beliefs and mindset. And so that's why I should probably call myself a mindset coach. But a lot of coaching work is that there are multiple areas of our life where we are not doing what we want to do or what we feel like we should do, right? I had a podcast recently about that on the More Than Your Weight podcast, right? But we are trying to look for a solution to kind of a new program or a new perspective, all of that to tell us what to do. When we just don't want to do the deeper work of looking inward and really understanding what's driving it. And obviously some stuff we can kind of handle here in a coaching atmosphere. Some stuff you might need to get therapy around, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there are deep things that have ingrained itself in our subconscious and our conscious levels, all those things that are really holding us back from moving forward in the health and the life that we want. And that is what I want to kind of start to talk about in my challenge next week. So before I get into what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about 3 tips around increasing your confidence around food, your body, and yourself. 3 tips for each. I want to invite you to my Food Freedom Challenge. This is a 7-day challenge where you're going to get a little video each day. You're going to get a workbook that has some reflection questions and really just asks you to reflect on your thoughts, beliefs, words, and actions in one area each day. So it's diets the first day, it's the weight in your scale the next day, it's your relationship with food, then it's their body, then it's yourself, then it's your exercise, and then it's your emotions. And it's all going to really help you start to see just a big picture view of, my goodness, because I believe, think, and say this is why I may be acting this way. And maybe you actually can't make that connection. And that's the beautiful thing about doing the challenge. This challenge is free for 7 days. And you're going to get that training video, a workbook to help you with reflection. You're also going to get a live Facebook Live in the Facebook group every single day. And if you're not on Facebook, I will upload it to my training database for you to watch the replay, and then you can answer the questions there. And it's basically just a space to get coaching for a week and support for a week, and really getting kind of starting to hit the surface of that deeper level work, right? Often I've seen different stuff where, when an iceberg, I think we see the tip of the iceberg, right? But you don't really know how deep an iceberg goes until you look down in the water. And we're going to start to touch the tip of it, and then go a little bit deeper. And then actually in my boot camp coming up, we're going to go really down to the deep, deep, deep part of that iceberg, right? And so definitely join the free challenge. You can go to madewell345.com/food-freedom-challenge. And honestly, even if you only can really participate a couple days, you're still going to get more out of it. I think a lot of people think I can't do everything, so why even start? Like I used to think that, let's be honest. But I've moved past that. I recently did a conference. There's 2 conferences I've been sort of been attending this week, business ones. And I just knew with regular work stuff that I need to do, family, my daughter, I was not going to be able to watch all of each one. I just was not going to be able to. In the past, I would have been like, what's the point? Don't even sign up at all. Or try to like fit it all in and just keep myself up extremely late. And I was like, I just can't do that anymore, right? And so I looked at each conference and said, okay, well, I have access to the replays for both for a certain time. Which sessions do I want to make sure I watch live, and which ones do I want to watch on replay? But guess what? I'm not going to watch them all. So I had to like say, okay, I'm going to, try my best to watch a few. And I got a lot of it, and it was worth the money. Both of them I paid for, so it was just worth the money. So what I'm trying to say to you, even if you only show up for a few days, show up well for those few days. You're going to get so much out of it in that free challenge. Okay. But the more you participate and the more you engage, you have the chance to win a 60-minute food freedom one-on-one session with me. This is a taste of my my coaching work, a taste of my one-on-one work, and you really just kind of get a customized space, a safe, a supported space to dive deeper. Okay, so that's the challenge. But I am really, I can't even say how excited I am for my upcoming 6-week boot camp. And I'm going to let you know, if you've been listening to me talking about it, I have renamed it and I have changed the focus. So before it was called the More Than Your Weight Boot Camp, and I was kind of going to hit like, again, the top of the iceberg for the variety of topics I cover in my one-on-one program, my 6-month program. I was going to talk about food freedom. I was going to talk about healthy habits. I was going to talk about your life and all these different things and how they all connect. But as I was like reflecting more, I just really wanted us to go to that deep iceberg level. And I just was like, what's the starting point for that deeper, what's the starting point to get to that 6-month work, but also that lays the foundation to go care about healthy habits, to care about other areas of your life, and that's food freedom. So instead of just saying, hey, we're just going to do a little bit of the tip of the iceberg and a little bit deeper here in the food freedom challenge, we are going to go deeper in the boot camp. So the boot camp is now called the Food Freedom Boot Camp, right? So we're going to take the concepts that we cover in this mini challenge, and we're going to go deeper and deeper with some more tools and some more resources, with group coaching calls, with a private space. And you're really going to get you're going to have some serious transformation during those 6 weeks. Okay. So you can sign up for the wait list. You get all the details on that boot camp. You'll be the first to know when registration opens. You'll be the first to know about the discounts and the bonuses. And so make sure you join the wait list for the boot camp, and we can even hop on a call before the boot camp opens so that you can see if it's for you and get your spot in. So go to madewell345.com/bootcamp and you will be on the wait list. Add your name and email, you'll be on the wait list. All right. So that's housekeeping stuff, right? But I wanted to say that at the beginning so that as we talk more about, increasing your confidence in these 3 areas, you'll start to see that, okay, well, how can I dive deeper into this? Well, that's where the challenge and that's where the boot camp comes in. All right. Great. So I'm just going to bring up these notes and make sure I am in the right space and everyone is working, everything is working. So we will go from there. And again, if you are just joining or you're listening, reminder, this is a training that I do in my Facebook group, the More Than Your Weight Women's community, every Thursday as much as I can. And I recently started putting it on the podcast as well, because some people are just more audio, or some people actually aren't on Facebook. So, okay, let's get into our topic today. My top tips to increase your confidence around food, your body, and yourself. Okay, let's start with food. Okay. I think when it comes to food, one of the most common, this is the starting point, right? So whether it is like, I just don't know how to eat, whether it is like, I think certain foods are good, certain foods are bad, I have to restrict myself. We all have been introduced to what a warped relationship with food looks like. We have labeled certain foods good or bad. We have restricted certain foods. We have maybe even eaten too much of certain foods. And but most of us have started to see view from a certain lens. And I like to talk, we'll talk more about this in the challenge. I think a lot of us maybe go back and forth with this, but can either see food as a friend or foe or fuel. All right, it's a friend that's there for us when things are hard, when we can't figure out what to do. It's a foe because at the same time, it's what we feel is causing us not to lose the weight or maintain weight, or it's what's holding us back from our goals. Or some of us have come to see that food is fuel. It's what nourishes my body, what takes care of my body. Or maybe you see all three at different points in your day or life, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, but I just think understanding how we view food and our mindset towards food really allows us then to respond to it accordingly and shift our actions. All right, and we'll talk again more about this in the challenge and the boot camp, but I just want to give you three simple tips to increase your confidence around it. And I'm talking about increasing your confidence and trusting yourself around it so that whatever goal, whatever area of life that you want to be transformed in, it requires for you to trust yourself, and it requires that confidence in yourself, and to get the support necessary to do that. It requires for you to believe that you can act differently than you're currently acting, that things can change. And I think that takes trust or courage and confidence. So the first thing is, and I just had a beautiful podcast episode too that I recorded with someone talking about this, but it's like giving yourself permission to eat. And you're like, okay, Brie, I feel like food's in control. Like, what's going on? Like, why are you telling me to just give myself permission to eat? Well, that's what I was talking about in this episode, and as well as just many people I've talked to and things I've read around, whether it's intuitive eating, whether it's all that, it's that we have labeled certain foods off limits, certain foods as good or bad, and it's led to, in the intuitive eating, right? Or maybe talk about like rebound mentality. It has led to deprivation. It's led to just like a not helpful view of food. Now, if there are certain foods that do not support your body, if there are certain foods that really you feel like I don't even want to engage in those because I just know myself around that, that's fine. But what I'm trying to say is that if you want to have a little bit of ice cream every now and then, why can't you? Or if you want to enjoy a brownie, or if you want to enjoy a piece of pizza, like, I just think often for many of us, telling ourselves certain foods are good or bad is not helping us with our version of food freedom, whatever that version is, right? And I love the writers of the intuitive eating book, which is such a great book, has talked about is the Last Supper mentality, right? That whenever we say certain foods are good or bad and we're about to go on a program, we have the Last Supper, we eat those other foods as if we're never going to have them again, because we're told ourselves they're not allowed. But what if you were to say they are allowed, and you just started to act more mindful, you set up some healthy boundaries around those foods that allowed you to still have them, but not have them so much that they're going to maybe hold you back from those goals you have, right? So giving yourself permission to eat. Now, if this sounds very hard for you, or just like, Brianna, that's crazy, or, oh my goodness, I've been wanting to try this, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Let me know on Instagram. Let me know in the Facebook group. Just let me know like where you're at with that. And just know this is a simple tip, but it's a hard thing to apply, right? And it took me a long while, and even many of my clients, to work to build up that confidence and courage to give ourselves permissions to eat. And again, we're going to cover this in the challenge in the boot camp. Number 2 is establish your own boundaries. And why, Dr. Henry Cloud, a great book around boundaries and has series around boundaries, talk about boundaries aren't necessarily meant to be restrictive. It's not meant to say no, it's meant to say yes to something. It's meant to say this is where this stops and this begins. So often we talk about boundaries with people. Boundaries help that person and help you stay healthy. And so when it comes to boundaries with food, you have to figure out what's good for you and what's not good for you. So for example, there are just certain foods that I'm a grazer. I just graze. I like to pick up little oranges, pick up little nuts. I just like to graze. my daughter's a grazer too. So I'm like, why does she keep grazing? I'm like, oh, I'm a grazer. I just like to eat little things here and there. I mean, I do have my meals, but I still like to eat things. But so to make sure that I'm grazing on good food, I just don't keep certain foods in the house on an ongoing basis. Even if we bake, it's like either we got to freeze them, give the rest away, or throw it away, because I just gonna graze on those foods all the time. And to me, that's not restrictive. That's actually very permission giving, because I'm allowing myself to, one, eat that food, right? Give myself permission to eat, but I'm also knowing where I need to set a boundary around it. All right. So what may that be for you? Is it that you just can't keep certain foods in the house, and if you want to have that food, you need to go get it or go buy it or whatever? Like, what is that for you? So 1, give yourself permission to eat. 2, establish your own boundaries. And 3, increase your emotional intelligence through HALT. Now, emotional intelligence is about being aware of basically others and yourself. It's kind of a social aware. I mean, there's 4 different quadrants, but like social awareness and like self-awareness are 2 of the big ones. Like, just are you very aware of what you're feeling? Are you aware of what other feelings? But I think we need to increase our awareness and our emotional intelligence around what we are feeling, because often we're feeling a lot of emotions and it may not be stress. Again, I had a great podcast episode with Katie Corbett, and it's coming out in November. But we talked about this, just like, she even mentioned how she didn't necessarily struggle with like stress or thought about emotional eating in a certain way, but maybe it was just other things going on. Maybe it wasn't mindful eating. Maybe it was just being busy, or maybe there was like just certain emotions at play, right? And so increasing our awareness of what we're feeling will help us make better food choices. Might be more of a mindful eating practice. And the reason why I say use HALT, you can ask yourself a simple question of like, what am I feeling? Am I really feeling hungry? Like, what's going on? But HALT is just a great acronym to help you start that questioning and awareness process. So HALT means, am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I lonely? Am I tired? Am I feeling any of those emotions right now? That's what's driving me to eat? And if I'm hungry, I should eat. And I try to get the meal that is the most nutritious and will satisfy me in the way that I need in this moment. Or if I'm angry, lonely, and tired, okay, then what do I really need? Again, on this episode, it was just yesterday, so that's why I definitely remember it. But we talked about like sometimes for both of us, when we were just eating, the food didn't seem to satisfy because there was something else going on. And so often we're running to food, or lack of thereof, for some sort of satisfaction in our life. But there are other ways that we need to be satisfied, or what I would call nourished. And sometimes it's those other areas of your life, right? Your finances, your career, your relationships. And so how can we have more nourishment in those areas? All right. And so increasing your emotional intelligence through that HALT method, hungry, angry, lonely, and tired, it's just, again, asking yourself that question. Now, if you feel like you do struggle with emotional eating, that's something that just has like been a part of your life, or maybe you're like, I'm not quite sure, or I think I do it a little bit every now and then. I just don't feel like it's not serving me anymore. On the podcast back last October, I did I think it was a four-part series on emotional eating. And the first one was 5 questions basically to help you figure out the root of emotional eating. And, a couple of them were like, what time are you eating? What food are you eating and how much? And I definitely suggest listening to that episode too, because that is just, again, more questions to bring to the awareness of your mind, what's driving you to eat or not to eat. But for sure, we'll talk about, there's a whole day dedicated to this, day 7 in the Food Freedom Challenge. And then there's a whole week dedicated to this in the boot camp coming up. So this is definitely all 3 of these tips. We're going to dive deeper in the next couple of weeks and the months, right? So 1, give yourself permission to eat if you're wanting to increase your confidence around food. 2, establish your own boundaries. And then 3, increase your emotional intelligence through asking yourself, am I hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? Now, the 2 other areas, food was the main one, because I actually think when we really look at our relationship with food, it will show us what we then actually truly believe about our body and ourselves. Because remember, our beliefs drive our actions. So we may think the problem is with food, but the problem may be actually how you view your body. And the problem actually may be with how you view yourself, or how you treat your body and treat yourself. And so I just wanted to touch on a couple tips around those as well. And then again, invite you to join that Food Freedom Challenge. I'm going to put the links here in the podcast, in the group. And if you're watching on Instagram or listening on Instagram, you can go to my bio link and you can access the bootcamp plus the waitlist plus the challenge in there. Okay. So number 1, I'm so excited for next week in particular, and then I have a couple more episodes around this eventually, is we're going to talk about body. And actually, the first tip is dressing how you want to feel. And I've recently started doing this even more after being postpartum and having clothes that I was just like, I don't really want to wear those anymore. Maybe they don't fit the same way. I want to feel like confident. I want to feel lovely. I want to feel like I'm not like just running on, I mean, I am running on not a whole lot of sleep because I have a young one, but I want to feel good. And so why am I going to wait to dress myself until I feel good? Why not dress myself to feel good now? And the connection here is like, I think we're constantly waiting for a perfect time for us to finally be confident in who we are, finally love our body, finally dress like that accordingly. And this kind of flips on an end and says, no, I love my body right now. So I'm going to dress how I'm going to dress to show myself that right now. And this has been so huge for me. So I've cleaned out my closet. I got to clean out my drawers. I've gone thrifting. I've gone to some of my favorite stores, and I've just bought pieces that are just simple, work for me, my style, and light me up. I mean, I my sister was just like, that's so you. And I'm like, you're right. That is so me. And so I'm going to keep dressing like me, So dressing how you want to feel and how you want to feel in your body can really be a way to increase your confidence around your body. And so on the podcast, the More Than Your Weight podcast, next week, Tuesday, I have the amazing Ginger Bird to talk about this. And she is a personal stylist. And then I also have Maria Swan coming on I forgot when I had her coming on, but to kind of talk a little bit more about this from out. Both women have different perspectives. So good. Okay. The second thing to increase your confidence around your body has to do with what you say about your body. And this is day 4 of the challenge. And this is also one whole week in the boot camp, is what we say really makes a difference in how we feel and act, right? So if I'm constantly saying like I'm overweight, or I'm ugly, or my thighs rub, or I mean, all these words, I just don't even want to repeat them because they are so negative and they're so degrading to myself. And yet you would hardly say this to someone else, right? But you believe this about yourself. And so what are you saying about yourself? Because when you really dive deep to what you're saying, I promise you'll start to see where you are really holding yourself back, what you truly believe and how that's showing up. So if you believe that your body needs to be a certain size or number on that scale to be lovable and to be worth taking care of, my goodness, you have a long journey ahead, because you're going to approach food, you're going to approach healthy living from a point of I need to fix myself, or what even Jess Connolly in her book Breaking Free from Body Shame talks about, a body project, which by the way, Jess is coming on the podcast too. Guys, I'm having fun. If you don't listen to the More Than Your Weight podcast, you are missing out, because I got some good speakers coming up. And then of course, things I say is good too, right? Just to go dive in deep into their experience around this, right? So watching what we say, if we're not careful, is going to lead to our bodies being projects, being a project for a wedding, being a project after we have a baby, being a project when we're 40, whatever. We need to stop this body project madness. And if we're going to make our body a project, it's going to be a love project. It's going to be like, how can I love my body in this season? I need to give it sleep. I need to give it water. I need to say loving things about it. Like, I'm going to preach to you right now because this is key. Because so many of us are approaching healthy eating, approaching food, approaching diets, approaching exercise from a place of having this really broken relationship with our body. And it's not all our fault. There have been things that people have said, have maybe even done about and to our bodies that have made us feel like, okay, well, it's just not worth it. It's just something that, but my goodness, your body is, it's this beautiful thing that the way that it works, the systems, all the systems in your body, the way your hormones work, the way your blood works, all this stuff works together, or should work together, to keep you healthy, alive, and to live in this world. And if you are not treating your body with respect, if you're not treating your body with kindness, both in words and action, you're going to miss out on one of the greatest gifts you have, and that is your body. So dressing how you want to feel and watching what you say will really just catalyze you forward in creating confidence around your body. I think I only had 2 for those ones. So for the food one, I had 3. I think the body I had 2. So then let's move on to yourself, right? So then we can kind of start, like, what we think about food, what we think about our body. We suddenly make what we do, or those things, about who we are, our essence, our worth, our value. And I'm going to again tell you for this one, this is a repeating one, but watch what you say about yourself, not just your body, about yourself. There, in a really great book, called Captivating by John and Stacey Elliott. It's a Christian book, just so you guys know, but it just talks about how women are asking these questions. Like, basically the questions asked, like, am I worth it? Do I have a role to play in this world? Do I belong? Am I beautiful? And I struggle with some of those questions, right? Like, I think my biggest thing, like, I feel like I've often overcome my struggles with my worth and value in weight. But I'm still having to do that same work in my, view towards work, view towards wealth, view towards relationships, view towards other these areas, right? So this deep work is that I believe a woman's worth is in so much more in her weight. It's so much more than in her weight, her work, her wealth, or I like to call it her woo, her ability to win others over. Your worth is in so much more than that, yet we are constantly finding ourselves, whether because people, society, or us, have been putting our worth in those other things. All right. So what do you say about yourself? Do you say you're not smart enough? Do you say you're not organized enough? Do you say you're not pretty enough? Do you say you compare yourself to others? Like, there's so many things that we say about ourselves that aren't helpful. And it does not increase our confidence, it decreases our confidence. So what do you need to say about yourself to increase your confidence? Do you need to say, I belong? Or I am more than enough? What I do is more than enough? And I know a lot of moms face this, like, am I raising my kid right? So watching what you say about yourself will impact your relationship with food and your body too. And then this one, number 2, is big. Big, 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 big. Receive compliments. Now, let me tell you, when someone gives me a compliment, I don't deflect it, but I do. I say, if someone complimented me on my makeup, I would be like, oh, awesome. Yeah, thank you. But like, this is it. This is what the brand is like. And it was super affordable. Or like a cute top, like, oh man, I got this top from the thrift store, girl, you should go. Or you're looking really like, what's the word people have said recently? Like vibrant, alive, fresh, like glowing. And then I would suddenly be, oh, I'm using this. Like, I am like trying to tell them like what I'm doing and how they can do it too, versus like, thank you. I really appreciate that. Like, yeah, I've been making really a space to really care for my body or whatever. And it's been good. Just receiving it, nothing else. And is that you? Do you need to receive a compliment today? Like, I just think we are so bad at that. And it's because we just don't know how to receive it. We don't know how to accept that we are worthy and are valuable, and or X, Y, and Z, whatever that person is commenting on us on. And we are just constantly, it's really weird. We're constantly looking to other people to affirm us, but when they do, we deflect it. Why? It's just, we need to stop that. Well, first we need to affirm ourselves, but we need to start receiving when we get nice things said about us, and we get like not so nice things. You can deflect that, especially if it's like destructive kind of criticism. All right, so 2, watch what you say about yourself. Receive what those nice things others say about you. And then 3, acknowledge your accomplishments. And this goes back to that worth piece, right? Like if you don't think you're doing enough, it's, oh my goodness, in your health particularly. I do work with this with clients all the time, is that they are making huge progress in their relationship with food, in their healthy habits, all these other areas. And yet they're constantly seeing where they're lacking in their mind. So they're not acknowledging their progress. So they feel horrible along the journey. But when you take time to celebrate every accomplishment you make, whether small or big, you start to increase confidence in yourself. You start to increase the confidence that you have what it takes to succeed in any change and any transformation you want to make in your health, in your life, in your career, in your relationships. And I just think we need to get to that point when we are watching what we say, receiving compliments, and acknowledging ourselves when we accomplish something great. Okay. So I think that's 9 tips so far. And I do have a 10th tip to round it out. And I'll end with that, but I'm going to go repeat. So today we talked about my top tips to increase your confidence around food, your body, and yourself. And these are 3 of the 7 areas that we're going to talk about in the Food Freedom Challenge starting next week, September 13th. And then also in my Food Freedom Bootcamp starting October 4th, at least this round of each. And the first was, for food in particular, my top tips was giving yourself permission to eat, 2, establishing your own boundaries around food, 3, increasing your emotional intelligence through HALT. Are you hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? The 2 tips around your body were to dress how you want to feel, watch what you say about your body. And then the tips around yourself and increasing your confidence around yourself was watch what you say about yourself, receive compliments, acknowledge your accomplishments. And then my last tip for you is don't do this alone. This work is a deep, deep work. And I think we need accountability. I think we need encouragement. I think we need guidance. I think we need support. And there are tons of different fields and services out there that can do that. There are therapists, there are coaches, and there are programs. I just think that this work of increasing our confidence in the areas of food, body, and ourselves will not only increase our confidence in our ability to take care of ourselves and therefore take care of ourselves better, but it will increase our confidence in every other area of our life. As I've increased my confidence in these areas, I've increased my confidence as a mom, as a wife, as a business owner, as a follower of God. Like I've just increased my confidence, right? And so I want to journey with you, and I want you to journey with other women too. And that is why I have my free Food Freedom Challenge coming up, a 7-day challenge from the 13th to the 19th of September to help you in this journey. And I also have my Food Freedom Bootcamp, previously the More Than Your Weight Bootcamp, coming up on October 4th to go deeper into that, remember that iceberg level. And so if you are interested in the challenge, sign up for the challenge in the show notes. If you are interested in the bootcamp, you can sign up for the wait list, or even just book a clarity call from now. I'm going to ask everyone on the wait list to eventually book a clarity call because I want to hop on the phone. I really want to hear where you're at. I want to see if this is a good fit for you, or maybe something else is, or someone else's, right? So don't do this alone. This deeper mindset inner work is tough, but it's possible. And I think getting support along the way is going to really help you. So join the Food Freedom Challenge. Sign up for the bootcamp waitlist. You can book a call from now too, and we will go from there. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this version of Training Thursdays, whether you're listening on the podcast or on Instagram or in my Facebook group. I am just happy that you've made it this far to the end because I talked a lot today. But I hope you're leaving with these 10 tips, right? I mentioned 10 different tips here to increase your confidence around your food, your body, and yourself. And how when you increase your confidence in those areas, you increase your ability to make and take consistent action to transform your health and those areas forever. All right. So get the support you need today. Sign up for the challenge, sign up for the boot camp waitlist, and book a call. And let's just journey together in this. All right. Grateful for you all. Again, if you have any questions, any takeaways, any area that we talked about today that you want to implement in this season, drop it in the comments. Let me know, and I can't wait to support you even more. All right, I'll see you on the next episode of Training Thursday. Hopefully see you in the challenge, and I will see you hopefully in the boot camp too.